Hello, 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 and welcome to event number 18 of the World Series of Poker Online Bracelet Series. I'm David Tuchman, and right out of the gate, we got an all-in ace-8 versus king-5. There's an ace, a 10 on the river for Irvin Magic. No, not going to happen. And Irvin Magic has been eliminated by Into the River, just like that. Of course, I'm David Tuchman. Joining me is Ryan Feldman. You might recognize his voice as he was the owner and one of the hosts and producers of the show called Live at the Bike, a show that I actually got my start on way back when. Ryan also was an NBA analyst for a few years at ESPN. He's a poker player and a hell of a good guy. Ryan, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks for the intro. And I'm looking forward to seeing this Turbo final table.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, Turbo so far, it's an 8-max final table. We had just under 1,000 entries. We are down to our final 7. Irvin Magic, who you know personally, got in 8th place. He takes home 16,783. What do you know about Irvin Magic? Oh, hold on. We got Ace King versus Kings. Hold that thought. Bud Light Lime, who made the final table last night. Does he survive? He does. 4 spades on the river, and Bud Light Lime with the double up to 11.5 million. And Harrison D33 is gone. Just like that, man. You're going to say 6 words. We're going to be done.
Yeah, we might be done in a minute. Irvin Magic is Matt Perry. He is an absolute sicko. So that's the guy that was eliminated first in the final table. I played with him a decent amount, maybe 6-7 years ago when I first started playing 5-10 no limit in Connecticut and also at Borgata. Matt Perry's good friends with Tommy Cannoli. I think he's from Jersey. He's an absolute sicko, like a guy who will just take huge shots, with his bankroll. And he played a lot of high stakes PLO and no limit, and I think he ran it up a lot. And I've seen him play in Bobby's room. I know he got, I believe, third, I want to say, at the 25K PLO a few years ago at the World Series. So this guy's an absolute beast, super smart player, just a crazy person in poker. And yeah, so that was him that got eliminated first in the final table, but it would have been fun to see him.
He takes home 16,783. Goatmaster is going to raise here. And Brian, are you at some sort of goat farm? Where are you?
Yeah, there's a better signal here in the petting zoo down the street, so I'm just parked in the petting zoo.
Is this where you're playing online poker?
Yeah, there's a good Wi-Fi signal here, yeah.
Goatmaster. I guess, hey, you're pulling for Goatmaster, huh?
yeah, I yeah.
Ryan Feldman, David Tuchman. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. What's up, Mike Munier and Blackberry Smoke, Superholic, Dollar Bill 54, Move Time 99, High 2027. Let's get into it. Just under 1,000 entries. First place, 181,000. 143 people got paid. Minimum cash was just under $1,600. And by the way, so we lost Harrison Dobin as well with Ace King against Bud Light Lime's Kings. Harrison Dobin, career live tournament winnings of 101,000. He takes home $22,222. Our remaining 6 players all guaranteed just a tad under $30,000. Bud Light Lime once again made the final table last night. So impressive. Some other players who made deep runs. Julian Parman, he flirted with the final table again. Had back-to-back final tables the last 2 nights. Tonight he finished in 15th place. Crazy Legs, Crazy Legs X, finished in 4th in event number 4. No, I'm sorry, was a runner-up in event number 4. He finished 10th in this tournament as we are down to 6. Puig, my friend, as well, don't you, Ryan? Who is that?
Well, I don't know personally, but that's Barry Hutter, which I'm sure a lot of the poker community is familiar with. Barry Hutter's like an absolute top-notch player over the last however many years. I believe he's a South Florida guy. I think he's friends with like Jake Schindler and some of that crew. Just like an alpha player from what I've seen. I've only played with him a couple times. I've seen him play on streams a couple times. I just know that he's a beast. Like, he accumulates chips. He gets big stacks. He has different gears. He can be really aggressive. He can be really solid. He's just a guy who's consistently been a really, really good player over the years. He's had deep runs at World Series events, WPTs, et cetera, et cetera.
No doubt. That is the voice of Ryan Feldman. If you recognize it, if you're a fan of Live at the Bike, that's why you recognize it. Ryan, an integral part of that show for a few years. He no longer works there, but he was an owner, a producer, and one of the commentators there. Does a great job. Pretty much everything he touches, he turns into gold. Puig, my friend, involved in this hand. Certainly an interesting river card. 5 of spades. Fits really nice in with that flop, huh?
Yeah. So, did you follow the action on this hand? I'm trying to piece together what happened here.
Well, Puig, my friend,
I
bet the turn.
Yeah. I assume into the river open and Puig defended. And okay, he rivers a pair, and that's good. Wow, okay.
That is good. Yeah, he bet turn and then check on the river, and he wins it there. Just like that. Barry Hutter up to 7.8 million, into the river on 6.4 million. Are you surprised that Barry didn't? I mean, I guess he has a pair of fives and has some showdown value. I would have thought him defending out of the big blind, that's going to smack more of his range than it is in early position open. Into the river originally opened under the gun there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a weird hand. I just think you don't see a lot of like crazy bluffs in tournament final tables, and you definitely don't see it in like a turbo structure like this where stacks are shallow and everything moves so quick. So I mean, it's not like cash where it's Deepstack and you see people, really playing range versus range and taking advantage of spots. Like, I just think people want to survive in these spots. And I mean, yeah, I'm surprised that he took it to showdown with a 5 there. But I mean, it's like such limited showdown value, but you just don't see people make crazy bluffs with such big ICM considerations a lot of the time. Maybe in high rollers you do, but I mean in like a non-high roller tournament like this, you seem to see people play fairly straightforward a lot of the time, I think.
Yeah, well said. I've been saying that for years, Ryan. I've been saying that for years, that in these smaller buy-in bracelet events where there's so many people enter and the ICM considerations are enormous, people are very rarely actually balanced at the final table.
Yeah, this is more about, the right calling ranges on all ends, the right shoving ranges, things like that. Like, that's more of what's important here. So look at the stacks here. We have 8 big blinds for action dealer. We got looks like 11. What is that? About 14 big blinds for Goat Master. We got a little under 20 for Barry Hutter. 15 big blinds.
I mean, our chip leader, dude. Our chip leader has 30 big blinds. That's all he.
Yeah, like there's not any room. There's no room for real post flop play in this. This is all about like pre-flop hand selection, shoving ranges, calling ranges. That's all this is right now. This is a turbo. 8-minute levels. Average stack is probably under 20 big blinds right now. So it looks like Barry opened here.
Yeah, Barry opened here, and we got a defend out of the big blind from Action Dealer. More on him in a second. Bud Light Lime, what a story. Final table last night. I had a Bud Light Lime ready to crack open. Does he allow me to crack open my Bud Light Lime today? The Hammer Time, what's up? Napa Dam 2007 says, Ryan, any comments on the Live at Bike situation? Ryan has promised me that he will be on my podcast. We'll address that there.
Yeah, we'll talk more in depth at some point over the next couple months, but yeah, we don't really have time anyway.
No, this is not the place for it.
Yeah, do you have 3 hours to spare? Okay, no.
Exactly. Forget about the poker. Goat Master in the big blind. Action around to ship the money.
The few hands that we do see post flop here, there's going to be a lot of just like really, really small bets.
All in a call. 4s versus ace 8. Action Dealer. Still good. Needs to fade the river, and he does. Goat Master down to 3.2 million. Action Dealer up to 4.87 million.
Yeah, that's just such a brutal spot. Like, Goat Master's in the big blind, blind versus blind. The small blind's going to shove, or should be shoving at least with such a wide range, especially when he only has like 5 big blinds. And Goat Master just obviously has to call with any ace high, calls with ace 8. And, he loses that hand. It's a flip, and now he's down to 7 or 8 big blinds. So it's just brutal. Like, that's just a spot where you just have to call, and you just don't win, and now you're just depleted. But, the good thing is that everyone's so shallow, 8 big blinds, you're still right in the mix. You're not out of it. It's not like everyone else has 60 big blinds. Everyone else has 15, 12 big blinds. And now he's shoving with 7 or 8 big blinds here. And, this is going to be more than a third of Barry's stack if he calls. He's probably should be calling with like all of his ace highs and some good king highs and a few other hands, and obviously
Are you
better hands.
how I was gonna say, I'm assuming you're tightening up your calling range in this spot simply because, right now Barry is second in chips. If he calls off and loses, he's
Yeah.
right back in the pack. And the pay difference between, sixth place, fifth place, and second place, you're talking about $80,000 in real money.
Yeah, that's true. Stack leverage is definitely huge. That's a thing that like you see Phil Hellmuth doing a lot when he plays. Like he's obviously not fundamentally the same as other people, some of the online guys, but he's all about stack leverage. Like he wants to maintain his stack leverage, and a lot of people do that. Like they want to maintain their stack leverage and make sure that like they're not wasting half their stack in a spot they don't have to call off. The upside, like the downside's way worse than the upside is good in that spot for Barry if he doesn't have a decent hand. Look at this. Actually, Dealer open limping on 12 big blinds. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of players kind of developing a limping strategy, a limping range on this sort of a stack. Action is on into the river in the big blind, deciding whether he wants to take a stab at it or just see a flop. That is Daniel Fisher. Daniel Fisher, by the way, he's got some chops to his name as well. 267,000 in live tournament earnings. He has a World Series of Poker circuit ring as well. Made a final table. That was event number 2. Came in 4th place this series. So already his second final table of the 2020 World Series of Poker Online Bracelet Series, seeing if he can best his 4th place finish from earlier. Action dealer betting 400,000 on that flop and takes it down.
It's really amazing the people that have had like multiple final tables in a row, and I mean it's just amazing. I mean, but that's just how poker is. It seems like when you're clicking, when things are going your way, it just comes in bunches, and you really have to ride out your moment. It happens in live poker too. Like you go on these heaters where you just have like a 3-month span where you're just final tabling and going deep in everything, and you have to take advantage of that and win as much money as you can in that span, because you don't know if you're ever going to have that heater again in your poker career. Like we have really good players who go in huge downswings and they just can't get that mojo together again. So you see it online where this guy Julian had 2 final tables in a row and almost did it again today, and the other guys you mentioned, like it's really impressive. Ryan DePaulo, I think he had like 4 cashes in a row or 4 out of 5. It's really impressive. So we got 9 big blind shove here from Goatmaster.
Yep. Goatmaster all in for his last 3.7 million. Again, the blinds are 200,000, 400,000. It's just a tad over 9 big blinds. Bud Light Lime folds and Ship the Money folds as well. Goatmaster up to 4.6. Barry Hutter, you talked about his accolades. He is our only bracelet winner at this final table. He won that back in 2015. $1,500 no limit hold'em shootout. Shootout to me, and I'm curious of your take. Shootout to me is probably one of the more skilled versions of poker, because you have to be good 9-handed, 6-handed, 3-handed heads up to move on.
Yeah,
and there are a lot of players out there that just don't have that skill set.
No, I agree with you 100%. Like shootouts are tough. I never really played shootouts, but they're tough. Like, yeah, you have to win your table. You have to outright win it. The ones that are even more skilled than that possibly are when they used to do the, what did they call it? They used to do the ones that were like 9-6-4. So it wasn't like you win a 9-handed table. It was like, what was that called? Mix max. You remember that mix max?
I love that.
Yeah. That's really skilled because you got to win full ring. You got to win short-handed. You got to do everything. Heads up. That's even more than the regular shootout.
And it just kind of, it really, it puts the poker player to the test in terms of, being able to do everything. Action dealer all in. There's a call from Goatmaster. There's a king. Goatmaster looking for a jack. He hits it right away. Full double up for Goatmaster, up to 9.3 million. Wow. Action dealer down to less than 2 bigs.
Yeah, that's just like no one did anything wrong there. It folds around. Action dealer short. He's got king 9 suited. That's an auto shove, blind versus blind. Obviously, ace queen suited to snap. Like nobody's making any mistakes. These are just standard spots, and you just have to get lucky. Like the deeper a tournament is, the less luck involved, the less variance, the more skill. The shallower it is, the more luck it is, and it's crazy because of you got these huge pay jumps for some of these guys, and it's just it's luck. I mean, so now, wow, look at this.
Action dealer, by the way. Yeah, we still have some action here because so the main pot is 1.875 million. Action dealer has 11,000 behind.
Yeah, he's all in.
3-way action. Yeah, he is all in now, literally.
So what
I have to imagine
does?
he's gonna get called.
So what this does is what he did is I guess part of the logic is that he can possibly get one of the guys to fold the flop who wouldn't have folded pre-flop, and he can go heads up with like and triple up. Okay, so he ended up getting called by Queen 4, and a 4 ends up winning it. So yeah, I mean that's one of those things where it's kind of like, you hate to say it, but it's kind of like implied collusion, where when you're busting a short stack, both guys are going to call, and they just know to check it down unless someone has the nuts. Like, no one says it, but happens all the time in poker. Like, they just know this is a huge pay jump. One of us, let's knock him out, and everybody knows that.
Although everybody knows it, although I have seen some really savvy players taking advantage of that and bet ace queen versus nines. We got another one here. Oh, we're looking for a club or an ace. There's the ace, and now Bud Light Lime needs a 9. He's not going to get it. And that is a huge hand. Instead of us being down a player and Bud Light Lime having 16 million in chips, we have a pretty big cluster here. 5 players remain. Bud Light Lime on 8.1 million is still our chip leader. No, he's not. Goatmaster is. So he's still in second place, but now Ship the Money is on 7.6 million. Back to what you were just saying in terms of the implied collusion where people check it down. I have seen a lot of really good players bet 4th pair on the board as if it were the nuts, getting the other player to fold 2nd pair just so they could beat the all-in guy. But they're like, listen, you know what? I want to eliminate somebody, but I want the pot too. So I'm not just going to check it down.
Yeah, exactly. So now we have Into the River, who's the clear short stack, but everyone's still pretty clustered. So he's got about 10 big blinds, and he's going to shove here. Now these 2 blinds have to call really tight here, I think. Yeah. They got to call really tight there because it's going to be like 70-80% of their stack, and Into the River is still a short stack, but now everybody's really, really close. So I think everybody's going to have like a really careful shoving range and also a really careful calling range. I mean, but then again, it's like leveling. You can take advantage of that. Bud Light Lime could shove a little bit looser than he should because he knows that the blinds are going to call a little bit tighter because of the stack. So, it's like who has the balls to, shove a little light or call a little light and take a chance. I mean, there's a lot of gamble here right now when everyone has 12 big blinds.
This is always an interesting dynamic, and this is one of the things that always intrigues me when I watch these final tables. Which player has the courage, as you say, as you have so eloquently put it, who has the courage to kind of go for it, and who is more focused on seeing if they can ladder up a couple of spots? I understand both approaches. I mean, the pay jumps are enormous. Just going from 5th to 3rd makes you an extra $38,000.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't know, that might be like a ton of money to some of these guys. You really don't know. 181,000 could be life-changing to some of these guys.
So it's a lot of money. Somebody asking if Blackberry Smoke says, do these start at 3 p.m. Vegas? They do. Each and every day, there's a bracelet event each and every day on WSOP.com, and they all start at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Most of the final tables are usually around midnight, 1 in the morning, somewhere around there. Turbos tend to obviously start earlier, hence the earlier start time today. Ryan Feldman, David Tuchman here for event number 18. We had nearly 1,000 entries, and we're down to our final 5. All 5 players guaranteed $40,694. Barry Hutter, by the way, also has a circuit ring on his poker resume as well.
Oh, wow. So who came in 6th? Or who just busted 6th?
You're going to test my knowledge here because I don't have it right in front of me.
It was Action Dealer? No. Yeah, Action Dealer, right?
Sounds right.
No, wait. Hold on. Is that the one? Who busted here? Yeah, it's Action. I think it's Action Dealer. I believe we didn't have a name on him, right?
I'm looking at it right now. I do not believe I have a name on. No, I do. Sorry. Action Dealer is Landon Tice.
Yeah,
Landon
okay.
Tice
So I didn't realize that.
He's just 21 years old. Apparently, this is his first World Series of Poker cash.
Yeah. I didn't realize that's who that was. So Landon.
You know Landon? Of course you know Landon.
Well, I know him from Twitter. Landon Tice has been like really active on Twitter the last couple months. He's this up and coming like 21-year-old crusher who Joey Ingram has.
Wait, I was going to say, isn't that the guy that Joey Ingram said, I will take him against anybody in 12 months?
Exactly. So Joey befriended him. He's been hyping him up. He played in Vegas with him a couple weeks ago, and Landon's just. I think Landon did some. I want to say Landon did some work for Joey. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but I think Joey kind of had him as a mentor or something like that. And now, Landon's like this crusher who's 21 now, and he's playing online. And I think he's a cash player, but he started playing a couple tournaments in the World Series, and so he just got sixth. And I didn't realize that was him until just now. People in the chat said, "Go game Landon." I looked it up and saw that was him. But yeah, apparently he's like a big up and comer. Joey thinks he's going to be like one of the best American players out there. So congrats to him on making his first World Series final table in his first World Series.
Yeah, 21 years old, Landon Tice makes his very first World Series of Poker final table. And, I got to tell you, if Joey thinks this guy's going to be, one of the greats, it'll be certainly intriguing and interesting to watch him play over the next few years. Bud Light Lime all in for $8.8 million. This is the second time in a row he has shoved his button. Ship the money has not folded just yet. By the way, Bud Light Lime, that is Scott Hempel. Looks like he's got about 500,000 in total earnings when you look at live and online.
Scott Hempel, that's Bud Light, right?
Say it again?
Bud Light is Scott Hempel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I saw he is at the final table of the LAPC, and I believe he cashed already guaranteed 183,000, but because of the quarantine, they delayed that final table. That's one of the WPTs that haven't been played out yet. And so now I don't know what's going on with that, but now it's on hiatus. So he could either just have that 183,000 or he might win it for $1 million. So this is a guy who, could make another 200, 300, 400, 800,000. He's at a final table, 6 people. He has a chance, and he just doesn't know what's going on with it yet. So it's just delayed. So it's kind of an interesting thing to know in the back of your mind that you might win another 800,000 whenever live poker comes back.
Jeff Gem in the chat. What's up? Sandy Joy. Hey, Sandy. Thanks for joining us, guys. We're here each and every night in the month of July. Tomorrow, we've got the $400 No Limit Hold'em. Ryan Lang is my guest. And then on Monday, we've got 6 Max PLO if the 4-card game is your thing. Yeah, for 2020 has been tough for most of us. But for Scott Hempel, between the WPT in LA and now 2 final tables here during the World Series of Poker Online Bracelet Series, 2020 has been okay for him, at least you think. Blinds 300,000, 600,000. Nobody has a lot of chips right now. I mean, Ship the Money with 11 big blinds. Into the River with 10.5 big blinds. Barry Hutter with 13 big blinds. We got an all-in from Ship the Money.
Yeah, this is 11 big blind shove. I assume the way the stacks are and shoving in that position with 11 bigs, like he's probably shoving fairly tight, I would guess. I mean, I would think he's shoving like ace jack plus, maybe ace 10. He's shoving probably ace jack plus. He's probably shoving maybe all pairs, at least like 5s plus, and then not many other hands. So, I mean, it's like a fairly tight situation right now. But it's different now, like on the button here. Like, I guess it's just such a different range here, like under the gun, whatever you would call it, hijack cutoff button. Like the button can shove so much looser just because, there 2 people already folded and now you can pick up the blinds as well. So, I mean, small blind can shove fairly wide against the big blind. But I think those first 2 positions have to be really careful. So let's see, Barry here with 75.
Kobe
wow,
to
look at this.
Odom.
He actually min raises. Sorry.
Kobe to Odom says, did Bud Light Lime final table last night? He did. Somebody asking if I'm going to crack open the Bud Light Lime. Well, if he wins, we crack it open. Get a raise here from Barry Hutter to 1.2 million. Into the River, another impressive player at this final table. That is Daniel Fisher, who has a circuit ring on his poker resume.
So
apparently he's a really good StarCraft player too.
So I was interested to see if any of these players are going to employ a strategy of having something between shoving and folding. And you see that Barry does. Well, he shoves here, but I'll go back to that in a second. But now he's shoving in this position, basically covering the table. So Yeah, he's going to have a pretty good hand here. He gets it through. So I was interested to see if anybody has a strategy of actually min raising, and if you do, then you can have a strategy of where you min raise with your really, really strong hands, and you also min raise with your hands that you'll raise with, but you're comfortable folding to a shove with. So like you're not going to min raise with a hand that you're now going to not feel good about when you get shoved on, right? Like, so you're going to min raise with a hand like aces, kings, queens, ace, king. See what
Get a
happens
raise
here.
here from Goat Master. A little bit
This
over
is the same
3x.
thing here. Like Goatmaster could raise here in that spot with a hand that he's going to fold to a shove with. It's possible. Now, it doesn't sound like okay on these stacks to raise fold, but you can have some hands. You can have some hands that you raise snap off that you're trapping with, and you can have some hands like, say, king nine off or queen nine off, 10-9 suited that you might.
Would you establish on this kind of stack depth? Would you establish a limping range, or is there just too much? Is there too much value in just getting your opponent to fold?
Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't, but I'm sure there's people that have developed some sort of, if they're like really, really good online players, developing a open limp strategy on 12 big blinds. I mean, I feel like that's really hard to have like a really good limp strategy on 12 big blinds when everybody has 12 big blinds. So I don't know. I personally wouldn't do that, but I definitely would have a min raise fold strategy.
By the way, this is one of the craziest final tables we have seen. And each and every night is such a unique animal unto itself. But tonight, to see 5 players left, the pay difference between 5th place and 1st place is $141,000. And yet it is legitimately anybody's tournament at this point.
Yeah.
I mean,
really
I want to say, I think 4 of the 5 players here have been the chip leader at one point or another. I know Into the River was, I know Bud Light Lime was, Goatmaster is now, and Barry Hutter was just a few moments ago. So I believe everybody but Ship the Money has been the chip leader here. And it's such a fluid situation. As you can see, Into the River, though, is getting, somewhat short.
Yep. So Goat's going to shove here in the cutoff, gets through. Shout out in the chat. I see Kevin from Hawaiian Gardens. What's up, Kevin? He is the tournament director at Hawaiian Gardens, or at Gardens
I felt
Casino.
bad. So Kevin actually streamed. Kevin streamed his own thing
Really?
a couple of days ago. And I wanted to be there. I was going to be there. I didn't realize. I was like, hey, dude, I'm going to go there. Didn't realize we were covering a turbo event that day and didn't get to. Kevin is awesome. He runs some great events at Gardens. And if you guys want to check it out, seriously, when COVID is all over and you feel safe about going to play live poker and you come to LA, they have done a great job down at Gardens.
Yeah,
I think, the remodel there is amazing. The tournaments he runs are phenomenal. And if you ever want to play with guys like me and Ryan, come meet us there.
Yeah, no, it is a really nice place. It really is. Like, it's super nice. And also, he owns the company Action Clock that provides the action clocks for all the tournaments. So that's him. He's the guy that...
He is responsible for making the game faster. We love you, Kevin. Everybody, hey, some love for Kevin in the chat, guys. Let's go. Skag, what's up? Yaksha, NZ, Chip Avalanche, how are you, man? I haven't seen you in a while. Glover's Phil.
Sandy Joy, old school live at the bike
chatter. I love Sandy. Sandy's great.
Landon's in the chat, too, who finished 6th in this tournament.
Is he?
So, good job,
Landon, well played. Well played. I'm sure the first of what I imagine will be many, many poker highlights. I look forward to watching you play over the years, man.
So we see a min raise now. We see a couple people now with the min raise strategy, and Barry's actually going to defend. So the big blind's 600,000 now. So they each have the same stack. They have about 12 big blinds behind, and we see a min raise defend. So you have to be really careful with your C bets or your stabs here, because it can be really, really costly, because if you're wrong, you can end up being the short stack, and leverage is huge right here. So Bud Light Lime min raise, Barry defended, and he's going to take a stab on the turn. So
Ryan, let me ask you a question. Stop for a second. Let me ask you: I know obviously when we're really deep, we're defending our big blind pretty light, because we're just getting such a good price against a min open. In this spot with just 12 big blinds, is your defending range going to be a lot tighter?
Yeah, well, the thing is that when everybody has about 12 big blinds, and like we talked about with the stacks, every single hand, every single call, raise, fold is so important, because it can get you from like chip leader to short stack, and that's huge. Leverage is just huge when the stacks are so close and so short. So I would not, like in a deep tournament where
Got an all in the call. Stop here. 9s and 8s into the river, looking for some help on the river. That's not going to come. Ship the money, doubles up to 11.5 million. And to your point, we just got the short stack doubling up now. He is now the chip leader. Into the river, Daniel Fisher is really up against it. He is all in the small blind for less than a small blind.
The money open shoved that light, queen eye and off. Like now he's a chip leader, but that's pretty interesting to me that he shoved that wide in in early position with queen nine off. Right? He was the buttons here, so yeah.
He was under the gun one. Under the gun one.
Yeah. I'm really surprised by that. Let's see what happens here. We obviously have
wow, you gotta be kidding me. How do you pick up aces when you have less than a small blind?
Yeah.
Is that real?
And now into the river. Now into the river is thinking, damn, if I just made a sick fold with ace-7 off, which I know it's hard when you're that shallow, but he really doesn't have to call in that spot when all the stacks are similar. I mean, a lot of people are going to say, yeah, it's a call with ace-high, like everyone has 12 big, but you don't have to. So let's say he does fold with ace-7 in that previous hand. The next hand, he's going to probably become chip leader because he's going to get it in against Bud Light Lime because he's going to call off with 6.
You could make the argument, and I don't have an ICMizer in front of me. I don't have the solver, but you could make the argument, I'm imagining, that I think ace-7 with ICM considerations and with the stacks being what they are, I imagine ace-7 is not a slam dunk call. I think it probably is a call, but I think it's probably pretty close.
I don't know, man. I mean,
it might be a fold. It might actually be a fold, but I'll put it this way. I think it's close. I don't think it's a slam dunk either way.
Look, I don't know mathematically what it is, but I would say if it was me, I'm probably folding there. Like, he's just going to have all the better ace highs. He's going to have the pairs. And even if he has queen 10, okay, you're like 60-40. It's not that.
Well, I mean, ace-7 is – that's the one thing with ace-7 is you do dominate some of his aces that he's shoving.
But not,
I mean, ace-deuce, ace-3, ace-4, those hands are probably folds. Yeah, but ace-7 – it's one of the worst aces you're going to shove.
Dominated by or that you're 60-40 against. So – I think I would end up folding in that spot, but I mean, I don't blame him for calling, but it sucks when the next hand you get aces and you're like, oh my God, I would have had so many chips against sixes.
If I just waited one, because by the way, if he waits one hand with the stacks as shallow as they are, there's no way it's not all going in on the next hand with aces versus sixes. Obviously, everything is messed up. Ace-10 versus Jack-5 here, and got a gut shot here for Barry Hutter. Not going to happen. Into the river with trip aces. He doubles again to 2.5 million. Well, even despite losing with ace-7 to queen 9, into the river, Daniel Fisher still has some life. He's only got about 3 big blinds, but he's still there. We saw a player last night, NJG Live, New Jersey G Live. We saw him come back from 1.7 big blinds to finish in second place. Into the river is still here. Barry Hutter all in.
Yeah, I mean, he just has to call. He just has to call so many hands here. It's hard to fold here. Like, he's got to have like 7-3 off, 9-3 off to fold here. Like, if he has like any queen high, probably any jack high, any 2 cards that are like within 2 cards of each other, like you kind of just have to call. Obviously, any suited hand. So he probably had like 9-3 off there, I'm guessing, to something like that to fold in that spot, because now he's gonna be almost automatically all in. If it folds around to him, like he's going to have to shove probably 90% of his hands if it folds to him here.
I noticed Lance Bradley in the chat. What's up? Shout out to Lance Bradley. Guy kills it, crushes it. You guys can read everything he does. Just a fantastic member of the poker community. And no, this is not an Andrew Ladd jersey. This is a Casey Cizikas jersey.
So this is a really strong open here and Ship the Money. He is the chip leader, but he opens 2.5x. I think what he's trying to do here is he's trying to get into the river to call the all in and the big blind to fold.
We got the all in there. There's an 8 and hearts. He makes the flush. Ship the money. Yeah. Doubles up into the river, and now into the river's on 4.3 million chips.
Wow, he's back in it.
Long ago. Yeah, dude, it wasn't that long ago. Bud Light Lime, when we first started, and we came out of the gate like, boom. We lost a player right away. We lost Irvin Magic right away, and then the next hand it was Bud Light Lime's Kings up against Harrison Dobner. I want to say is Ace King, and Bud Light Lime had 12 million chips, and it looked like okay, I'm going to be cracking open that Bud Light Lime. But now Bud Light Lime is pretty much the short stack. Him and Into the River neck and neck
Yep.
with 4.6.
Ooh.
Ace 9 versus Ace 8. There's a 9. A 10 will win it for Barry Hutter. That's not a 10.
Wow,
The
that was
pair
a
of
really
nines.
good call by Bud Light Lime. It's not an easy spot there when you have almost the same stack as another player. So you have two guys with about 4 big blinds, and Barry open shoves as the chip leader, and you have a hand like ace 9 off. It's a good hand, but it's not an amazing hand, and it's a tough spot. Like, if you're wrong there, then you're out before Into the River, where if you just fold a few hands, you might survive and get a pay jump. So kudos to Bud Light Lime for making that call and doubling up, because it's not an easy spot when you're talking about a $16,000 pay jump on the line if you're wrong. So now all of a sudden Bud Light Lime's a chip leader.
Hold on one second here. We have Ashy Pat the Wheel says there was no gut shot. Now listen, it's live poker. It's online. It's really quick. So I'm going to make mistakes. I don't doubt that.
I think it was. I think
the
turn made it
there
7-9
was
jack.
a gut shot. Jack 10 versus Ace Queen. Bud Light Lime is all in here. He's looking for a jack or a 10 on the river. No, or a 9 of spades. And he hits a straight O. Look at that.
That's a gut shot for you. That's a gut shot.
There's another gut shot for you. As I was saying, it's live. It's online. It happens quick.
So fast.
I've called thousands and thousands of hands in my life. I'm going to make mistakes, but there was a gut shot on the last hand, and there was a gut shot on the Ace 8 versus Ace 9 hand. Got another all in here. King, Queen versus 6-5. There's a king, open-ended.
No, he had a flush.
And he hits the flush, and he's open-ended anyway. Look at that. It's all there. Bud Light Lime's everywhere there, right? How does he? What's happened there? He just went from short stack to 24 million.
What just happened?
Slow down.
Damn.
My gosh.
Can we go on a break so we can talk?
Seriously. Dan Fisher, by the way, is eliminated. Great run by Into the River. He finishes in fourth place. He takes home $56,259. Of course, we lost Barry Hutter as well in 5th place. He takes home $40,694. And maybe I will be cracking that Bud Light Lime after all.
Crazy. 3 left now, and Bud Light Lime is just going to shove.
King Deuce versus King 10.
Off.
There's a 10. That's not a good flop for King Deuce.
Yeah.
And Ship the Money is going to double up here.
Yeah. That's a standard call there for Ship the Money. I mean, King 10 is definitely a good enough hand to call blind versus blind against the chip leader. Now the blinds are up, so we got a 500,000, 1 million. So now it's easy to see how many big blinds they have. We got 6.5 big blinds, we got 16 big blinds, and we got 16 big blinds. And now a little bit more for Bud Light Lime. So we have this spot now we have a clear short stack. He's got 6 big blinds. So these other two guys do not want to bust. They're not going to get into a big confrontation and all in with each other unless they both have monster hands, because they know that it would be absolutely atrocious for either one of them to not get top 2. So we're talking about a $33,000 pay jump, and it would be a mistake if they don't get top 2. So they're not going to make a mistake. They're going to try to bust Goatmaster. They're going to try to whittle him down, see if he can, if they can get him to bust or get him to get really short. And they're not going to mess with each other. They know that they're going to be heads up 90% of the time here, 80% of the time. So let's see, Goatmaster with 4.6. And
I mean, in
there's
theory,
no fold equity here.
Yeah, in theory, what you're saying obviously certainly should be the case. Bud Light Lime did shove in last time against Ship the Money folded, and we move on. By the way, the poker gods kind of shunned me on that one. As I razz one of the people in the chat, we got like 4 all-ins, and of course I missed the gut shot. Trip 10s here for Bud Light Lime. Gut shot here for Goatmaster does not come. Another gut shot, by the way, guys. That is not a gut shot. Doesn't hit it. Goatmaster is gone in 3rd place. And my master prognosticator alongside me, Ryan Feldman, called this, said 90% of the time these guys will be heads up. They are heads up. And it's Bud Light Lime with a little bit less than a 2-to-1 chip advantage over Ship the Money. Bud Light Lime, of course, made the final table last night. This is not a Ryan Togerson, though. The Ryan Togerson, it only happens when you finish 2nd and then win a bracelet.
So Bud Light Lime open shove there, the very first hand of heads up, where 23 big blinds versus 14 big blinds. He's going to have some small pairs there. He's going to have some good ace highs. He's not going to be shoving with Queen 9 or I don't think I mean, it's just like in this structure, like 14 big blinds is actually a lot. So I don't think he's going to be shoving super wide, like, because you have a lot of room here now to min raise. So we haven't had room for people to actually play poker since there was like 6, 7, 8 people left. But now there is a little bit, tiny bit of room for the next 8 minutes or so before the blinds go up, where they can play a little bit of post flop, as you see here, and they can even limp the button and do some weird things heads up.
Yeah, the event number 18, the 8-handed turbo deep stack, and Ryan and I doing our best to also talk in a turbo manner so we can get in as much as possible. Bud Light Lime with 25 million chips. Can he complete it tonight? Can he win the bracelet?
So Ship the Money with 14 and a half big blinds here. He's going to shove. Same thing here. He's not going to shove too wide, I don't think, but he's going to have every pair. He's going to have probably every ace high. I assume that these guys might have a min raise strategy for their really good hands and their not so good hands as well. So I don't think he's going to open shove 15 big blinds with a hand like aces or kings or queens, because he wants to induce with those hands and he wants to get some money in the pot at least. So I don't know these guys' experience, but if they're both good players, I assume they do that. I know Bud Light Lime should be a good player. That's Bud Light Lime, Scott Hempel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he made the final table yesterday. He made the LEPC final table. I assume he knows what he's doing. And Ship the Money is who?
Ship the Money, we do not know who that is.
That could be anybody.
Could be anybody. See if I can get any information about Ship the Money. It's Miles Kotler. Miles Kotler has career live tournament winnings of $5,662. His known online tournament winnings on 888 Poker New Jersey is $11,923. So a grand total of under 20K. And he's already guaranteed himself 100. And he's already guaranteed himself 112K. So
I don't know personally, but I know Jeremy Kotler is a good player. I wonder if that's like his little brother or something.
Yeah, I can't speak of it. I don't know, but that is Miles Kotler on the bottom of your screen. That's Ship the Money. Bud Light Lime on the top of your screen, and they're really close now. As you can see, Ship the Money started this hand with 17.8 million. Bud Light Lime started with 21.4 million. Ryan DePaulo in the chat said, "What happened? I went to the shower. I come back. I'm hearing screaming." Okay, what did you miss? Well, somebody in the chat thought I misread a hand. I didn't misread the hand. I started to scold him, and then at that moment, all hell broke loose, and we had about 5 all-ins in 6 hands, 2 of which I miscalled. Ryan Feldman's doing color commentary. He's killing it, and now we're heads up.
We're good at this because we both talk fast and talk a lot, so this is good. So look at this. We actually have a check raise. This is our first check raise we've seen at the final table. So a half pot bet from Bud Light Lime, a check raise of about 3x here from Ship the Money, and he takes it down. Yeah, there's a little bit of room for poker now. They're both like 20 big blinds deep, and we can see some poker for at least the next 5 minutes. So this is kind of cool.
That's the thing. You're saying there's enough room for poker. The blinds go up every 8 minutes. So in 2 minutes and 22 seconds, the blinds are 600,000, 1.2 million.
No, I get it. So we have a limp here on the button. We see Ship the Money. He does have a button limp strategy, which I think is good when you have under 20 bigs, which they both are around 20 bigs right now. He's going to bet a little under half pot, and that's the minimum you can bet right now is 1 million. So I think that it's good to bet as small as you can in these spots. These players don't want to make mistakes. They're not going to spew. They're not going to float out of position. Like it's too costly. Every single decision matters when you only have 20 big blinds and you're playing a turbo. So we
started this.
Good.
Go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
No, you can make these one big blind bets, and you don't need to bet more than that, like post flop. Like even if you raise and the other player calls, like you can just bet a quarter pot. Like you can just bet one big blind, and that's going to get the job done most of the time. You don't have to bet 3/4 pot. The shallower the stacks, the smaller the bets that you can make to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
By the way, they started this heads-up match. It was Bud Light Lime with about 25 million chips, Ship the Money with about 14 million. As you can see, Ship the Money has whittled down that lead and has actually taken the chip lead. Not by a lot, but he is in the chip lead by just a little bit. Basically, it's even. What are they playing for? Well, of course, the bracelet, but they're also playing for $70,000. The difference between first and second place, just a cool $70,000. When was the last time you or anybody played for a heads-up match for $70,000?
I have not. And I
Me
always
neither.
think about that too, how sick it is that they're playing. And in the moment, you probably don't realize, like, wow, I'm playing heads up for 70,000, or, a lot of times live, they might play for 200,000, or something like that. It's like a lot of times they don't realize it until after the fact. They're like, damn, I probably should have took my time and played better because I was playing for a lot of money heads up. Like, I would never play a cash game for that much heads up.
Yeah, it's hard when you're in the moment here. Another pot developing between these two players. Bud Light Lime back in the chip lead. That is Scott Hempel once again. He's already made a final table this series. He's also made a WPT final table back in February, the 2020 WPT LA Poker Classic. That final table still to be played. He is currently 6 out of 6 in chips, but he's made the final table. Guaranteed 185,000 in that one, and could make $1 million.
This is a hefty river bet here. In this structure, like a 3/4 river bet in this spot, like this is very, very polarized. So he's gonna have a flush or maybe a straight, or he's gonna have air here, something like that.
Well,
so he's
let me ask you, Ryan,
polarized in that spot.
let me ask you, just play devil's advocate on that spot. When it goes check on the turn, can he, and it's heads up, can he, I mean, yeah, I know that's a large bet, but when you say polarized, when your opponent checks back the turn, couldn't that just be a good jack even?
Yeah, but it's like these guys have less than 20 bigs, so you can't expect somebody to just risk 3 big blinds calling the river without having a really good hand. Like, these guys are going to play really tight, really solid, because every single big blind matters. So Ship the Money knows that Bud Light Lime is going to be very hesitant to call a 3 big blind bet, a 3/4 bet on the river, unless he has a really good hand. So, he can put pressure there, and he can have a lot of bluffs in that spot, and he's going to take down the pot a really, really high percentage of the time. It's like it's a weird spot, because it's like if it goes check in the turn, he knows that Bud Light Lime might not have a really good hand in that spot. So Ship the Money can bluff a lot in that spot, and Bud Light Lime is going to be hesitant to risk 3 big blinds. But at the same time, if Ship the Money has a really good hand, like a set or Queen 9, then he might want to bet in a polarized spot to make it look bluffy, right? It's a leveling war. Like,
No doubt.
You either
Ryan Feldman, I'm David Tuchman. You recognize his voice. He was the owner, producer, and host of Live at the Bike for a long time. Also an NBA analyst over at ESPN for quite some time as well. Some people in the chat asking who these guys are. On the top of your screen, Bud Light Lime, that is Scott Hempel. Just said he has 216,000 in live earnings, made a final table last night here at the World Series of Poker Online Bracelet. Also is currently at a final table of a WPT event, the LA Poker Classic. That is yet to be played. He is 6 of 6 in chips, with a chance to possibly win $1 million. On the other side of the table, on the bottom, is Ship the Money. That is Miles Kotler. Miles Kotler, certainly a David versus Goliath type story here, at least based on their poker resume. Miles Kotler, with under 20,000 in lifetime earnings, live and online combined. I don't really know much about him besides that. His top cash is his only other World Series of Poker cash. That was in 2018 when he came in 581st place in the $1,500 Monster Stack. He won under $3,000 here. So this is, as far as we know, far and away his biggest poker accomplishment, as he's already wrapped up 111,000 with his eye on 181,000. Take a moment to say hi to everybody in the chat. Coffee Gravy, what's up? Mr. Agamer 816, Kobe 2 Odom, Golfer Poker 1967, Carlos Dangerfield 22, Ryan DePaulo, thanks for their kind words. I appreciate it. Man, Ryan, I'm glad they got a break so we actually can just catch up, because that was pretty insane.
Yeah, it is. It's really intense. Turbos, online poker, really intense for sure. And it's like, I try to make a comment for 20 seconds and it's like, oh, we got an all-in call. Oh, we got another all-in call. That's fun.
Yeah, and seriously, you look down at your screen for 1 second, you look up and go, wait, how did that happen? Okay, well, they're all in again. Let's see who's going there. Once again, Barry Hutter, of course, made this final table. Barry, an absolute beast. Very well-respected poker player, as Ryan mentioned earlier. He's one of those Florida guys. Has a bracelet and a circuit event to his name, and now another World Series of Poker final table on his poker resume. Dirtlemaster says, Tuck, can you ask exactly what his background is? Okay, explain your background.
My background? Okay. So let's see. I've played poker for a long time. I had a job for a long time as well. I worked in sports media and different jobs over the years, and then I got a job at ESPN as uh, a researcher in the stats and info department. So basically, I came up with stats that were used by the on-air talent. I would create information that they would use on the air with graphics or with them verbalizing. I would work closely with the talent on SportsCenter and specialty shows. I did a lot of college basketball shows in Bristol, and then I moved out to LA and I worked on NBA Countdown out here with Jalen Rose and Sage Steele and Doug Collins for 2 years. Went to the finals, traveled with them, all of that. So did that, but while I was doing that, I played a lot of poker. When I was on the East Coast in Connecticut, I played. Well, first I grew up in Philly. I played at Parks. Then I played at Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun. Then I moved to LA. I started playing even more out here, and because they were closer to me. And then I decided to take a risk and leave ESPN because I got a little bored. Back in 2016, I played poker for a few months, and then I came across the Live the Bike gig.
You know what you remind me of, by the way? I'm sorry. Okay, for those of you out there, I'm going to date myself. If you haven't seen this movie, well, it's a great movie. It's a classic. Okay, for those of you who have seen Goonies, when they ask Chunk to start from the beginning, and Chunk goes, okay, and he starts from the beginning. You've seen Goonies, right?
I haven't, but I know what it is, yeah.
What? How have you not seen Goonies? Are you kidding me? Okay, in the chat, anybody help me out here?
Obviously, people have seen Goonies. I just haven't. But yeah, I produced Live at the Bike for 3.5.
By the way, I think the question was just not what your background is, which, by the way, is incredibly interesting, and we'll get to more of that on a podcast. I think the question really was explain your background. Like, what's up with the goats?
Oh, no way! That's what he was talking about.
I don't know.
I could be wrong. My poker background.
That's how I took it.
Oh, okay. Then I'm an idiot. I thought he had a poker background, but my poker background, yeah, whatever.
I didn't want to stop you.
Okay, explain my background. Oh, there's good Wi-Fi down here in there's a good petting zoo here in downtown LA near Koreatown, and yeah, I'm just sitting here with the goats and the llamas and whatever other animals they are, and we're just chilling and watching poker.
Blinds are 600,000, 1.2 billion. Exactly.
I mean, I don't really see what the issue is. Is this not normal?
It's completely normal. I just think that was really funny. We got an all-in. Back over to Bud Light Lime. Blinds are 600,000, 1.2 million. Suddenly, these players not so deep anymore. Bud Light Lime on about 13-ish big blinds. 12.5. Kobe to Odom points out, though, that was quite the resume. I just thought it was really funny. I was just like, okay, start from the beginning. And you were like, well, I was born. You went through everything in like 40 seconds, dude.
The other avenue I could have told you is like my ethnic background, So that could have been interpreted a bunch of ways.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. The great Ryan Feldman alongside me here. Ryan has many, many talents, one of them being a phenomenal cash game player. You don't play that many tournaments, I know that. And once in a while, obviously,
I played less and less over the years. Yeah, I thought about going to Vegas and like taking a trip to like play some. It would be fun, But I just have too many obligations here, so I just decided not to. But I like tournaments. I used to play them a lot. I've just played less and less as I've played more cash and been doing other things over the years. So, but I still usually go to the World Series over the summer and play the main and play a few other tournaments. So I'm looking forward to doing that next year when everything gets back to normal. So we got a post flop hand here. Min raise a call, and now we got about a 2/3. What is that? It's 3/4 bet pop bet by Ship the Money, and he takes it down. So, you can bet bigger on a texture like this because it's so coordinated. There's so many hands that Bud Light Lime is going to have when he defends, like Ace Jack Queen, 2 diamonds, or Ace Jack Queen with a flush draw. Like, he's going to have so many hands. So I assume the Ship the Money is like almost always going to have a real hand there when he bets 3/4 pot. He's going to have a hand like a set or a straight or 2 pair because or ace king because he expects Bud Light Lime to be connected to that board a lot of the time.
Right. The problem with that is, though, I mean, I'm not suggesting that these players are balanced or not balanced. I don't know. I don't know them well enough to know this, but I would assume that, if you're going to pick that sizing with your big hands, you're going to have some bluffs in there. Otherwise, your opponents can just overfold, right?
First of all, I mean, we're playing one tournament with 12 or 15 big blinds. Like, there's not enough time for them to do history of
Good point.
thousands of hands to analyze balance. But also, like, your bluffs can just be your flush draws, like 9-10 of hearts. So you don't have to have that many bluffs. Like, it's just, if you know your opponent has a hand they can't fold, then I mean, it's just, I think people in a spot like this where you're playing one final table, one heads up with 12 big blinds, like some people worry too much about, like, oh, balance. Well, you just don't have time. We're not playing a heads up match with 300 big blinds deep over 50,000 hands. Like, that's when that comes into play, not in this situation. Like, these guys don't know each other.
Posta 2310 says, Tuck, how do you look up someone's poker caches? Tend to use Hendon Mob for the live stuff, and then Pocket Fives for the online stuff. Fortunately, so I'll do a little bit of research myself, but fortunately I have this great research guy. His name is Saum. Occasionally you'll see him in the chat. He does a lot of amazing work for PokerGo. We are very lucky to have him, and he has been on top of it from the start, from event one. And he is kind of feeding me all the information you might hear. I am usually getting it from him. Once in a while, I get a nugget from Norman Chad as well. Thanks for the question, Pasta. Got 5.1 million in there. And by the way, if Bud Light Lime were to win this hand, he would be in the chip lead. That's how fluid this situation is.
Indeed. So we have a raise and a call, a check to the river here, I believe. And 5.1 in the pot. And see what chip money's going to do here. He checked back flop and turn. He could definitely have a 10 here and check back flop and turn and get value on the river. I don't know what else he would have in this spot besides a 10 to bet here. Like, he's betting 3/4. I think he's polarized to a 10 or nothing here. That's what it looks like.
Okay, you and I, and you listen, I don't mind that. You and I have always gotten into it and we debate hands. I think depending on how the hand plays out, I don't think he needs necessarily a 10 here. I think he can do this with a decent sized ace also.
No, he could. I'm saying he could. I'm saying he's more likely to
he gets the call.
Here.
Well, he's got a bluff here. What a call!
Nice call, yeah. Yeah.
What a call with king high. Bud Light Lime snaps him off.
That's a scary call by Bud Light Lime, because being right or wrong there is probably worth, like, I don't know, let's say like $20,000 call, right? It's risky. But I understand it. It makes sense because it is a polarized spot. Like, chip the money. It's a raised pot. He checked back flop and turn, and now it checked to him again on the river, and he's betting again. So, like, yeah, no, he's betting
I definitely get
3/4. It's a polarized bet. So he has to decide, is he really going to check back an ace or a 10 twice? Maybe he could, but he has to decide how likely is he to do that. If he thinks that he's more likely to bet like a third pot with an ace or a 10 either on flop or turn, and he's not likely to check that back twice, then that's a really good call. If he happens to have that hand, then you're still in the tournament. Great play, checking back twice to deceive your opponent.
Listen, Ryan, at the end of the day, you hit the nail on the head. 10s versus king 10. Bud Light Lime could end it right here. Chip the money, looking for some help on the river. It does not come, and it is over. Ship the money. Miles Kotler comes in second place. He'll take home $111,000, and our champion is Bud Light Lime. Ryan, say something intelligent while I crack open my Bud Light Lime. Here's to you, Bud Light Lime.
Look at you. Wow, you're prepared. Congrats to Bud Light Lime, $181,000, and you have to give him a lot of credit for making that call. It's not easy. It's easy to when we're sitting here watching or you're in the chat to say, like, oh yeah, it makes sense, like, call king high. But that's a scary spot. It's a big spot. The chip lead is on the line. It's however you analyze it, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 equity call there on that river, and it's a crazy spot. It's a high stakes call by Bud Light Lime, and he thought through the hand and thought, does this make sense? And he took a risk, and he went with his read, and he made the call, and he was right. If he's wrong, this tournament could go the other way. But he made a great call, and kudos to him for having the balls to do it, and kudos to Ship the Money for making the bluff as well. It didn't make a lot of sense to play to bet that big after you check back twice. He's really, to me, repping a 10 or maybe once in a while on ace king ace queen, but it's a great read by Bud Light Lime, and kudos to him, and he deserved to win the tournament, and that was the hand that really put him over the top.
Yeah, no doubt, and what a way to win it. When you tell the story about how you won a World Series of Poker bracelet, to be like, the pivotal hand, what was it? Well, on an ace high flop, 10 comes on the river. It goes check, 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 check. And then my opponent bets 3/4 pot, and I called with king high. Yeah, listen, the hand doesn't make a ton of sense, but, I have seen players, once it checks back twice, you can probably you probably know that all your aces are good as well. I mean, he could definitely going to bet a 10 that way. I would imagine he might even bet an ace that way as well. But the real question is, and you hit the nail on the head, is he checking those hands twice? Bud Light Lime sussed it out. You got to give him all the credit in the world. First of all, you give Ship the Money credit for even going for it, right?
Yeah.
But to make a call in a moment like that, to make a call as big as that in a moment that's as big as this is what's so impressive. We've all made big calls, right? And a great call, a hero call, is sexy. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love it. But to do it at a World Series of Poker final table with a bracelet and $70,000 on the line, you know what? Here's Bud Light Lime to you. Cheers, my man. Congratulations. We are back at it tomorrow. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Brew Drinker, shout out to you, my man. Kopi to Odom, Riley G. Matthews, Chip Avalanche, thank you. We'll be back tomorrow, July 19th, Sunday. We've got $400 No Limit Hold'em on tap. It'll be a much later start time because we're going to have just heaps and heaps of players. So count on probably closer to a 1 a.m. Pacific time. But you can catch Jeff Platt's Twitch chat before that. It'll be on twitch.tv/Jeff Platt. That'll start at 10 p.m. Pacific time. He'll take you all the way to the final table. It'll be me and Ryan Lang calling the action tomorrow night. Ryan Feldman, thank you so much. You were great. You kind of gave me the night off tonight. It was pretty awesome.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I wish we had more time to kind of talk in between hands and breaks and things like that. It was so quick, but it was still a lot of fun. And thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate your support. And talk to you guys soon. Thank you, Tuck.
Well, for Ryan Feldman, for everybody at PokerGO, I'm David Tuchman. Thanks for watching. Here's to you.